Hello everyone. Welcome to IAS. Let's discuss today's prelims topics. Question 1 with reference to New India Literacy Program, consider the following statements. 1. The scheme aims to cover a target of 5.00 crore non-literates in the age group of 12 years and above. 2. The beneficiaries under the scheme are identified through door-to-door surveys on mobile apps by the surveyors in the state's UTs. 3. Implementing during 5 years, from the FYs 2022 to 1923 to 2026 to 1927. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1 only. C. 1, 2 and 3. D. 2 and 3 only. The answer is D. The government has launched a new centrally sponsored scheme, namely New India Literacy Program (NIL), for implementation during 5 years, from the FYs 2022 to 1923 to 2026 to 1927, with a financial outlay of 1037.90 crore rupees, out of which 700 crore rupees is central share and 337.90 crore rupees is state share. The scheme aims to cover a target of 5.00 crore non-literates in the age group of 15 years and above. The scheme has 5 components: I. Foundational literacy and numeracy; 2. Critical life skills; 3. Vocational skills development; 4. Basic education; and V. Continuing education. Question to consider the following statements about type 1 diabetes, T1D. 1. T1D is diagnosed in childhood or adolescence as a condition where the liver produces little or no insulin. To this type of diabetes requires the children to constantly monitor their sugar levels and diet and regulate physical activity. 3. Treatment involves taking multiple injections of insulin daily, lifelong. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 1, 2 and 3. D. 2 and 3 only. The answer is D. T1D is diagnosed in childhood or adolescence as a condition where the pancreas produces little or no insulin. Question 3 am per researchers from Europe and the United States calculated national contributions to warming due to greenhouse gases such as CO2, CH4 and N2O since the 1850s. Consider the following statements. 1. India is responsible for 0.08 degrees Celsius of warming from the 1850s through 2021. 2. CO2 is responsible for 1.11 degrees Celsius of warming compared to methane's 0.41 degrees Celsius and nitrous oxide's 0.08 degrees Celsius. 3. India ranks second among the top 10 contributors to warming. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 1, 2 and 3. D. 2 only. Answer is A. India ranks 5th among the top 10 contributors to warming. India's emissions of carbon dioxide, CO2, methane, CH4 and nitrous oxide, N2O, from 1851 to 2021 have resulted in 0.04 degrees Celsius, 0.03 degrees Celsius, and 0.006 degrees Celsius of global warming over pre-industrial levels, respectively. Further, the United States topped the list of countries with a contribution of 0.28 degrees Celsius, 17.3% of rise in temperature. China stood second with 0.20 degrees Celsius, 12.3% of warming, followed by Russia's 0.10 degrees Celsius, 6.1%, Brazil's 0.08 degrees Celsius, 4.9%, and India's 0.08 degrees Celsius, 4.8%. Indonesia, Germany, the United Kingdom, Japan, and Canada each contributed 0.03 to 0.05 degrees Celsius of warming. Since 2005, India climbed to the 5th spot from the 10th. China, too, rose to the 2nd position after overtaking Russia. Question 4. The Securities and Exchange Board of India, SCBI, recently issued a regulatory framework for index providers to strengthen transparency and accountability on administration benchmark indices. Consider the following statements about this framework. 1. Index providers offering indices for use in India need to be registered with SCBI and take authorization for the introduction of such indices. 2. Index providers must have a minimum net worth of 100 crore rupees and must have a minimum of 10 years of experience in index administration. 3. An index provider must constitute an oversight committee for reviewing the existing index design. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 2 only. B. 1 and 3 only. C. 1, 2 and 3. D. 2 and 3 only. The answer is B. Under the new framework, index providers offering indices for use in India need to be registered with SCBI and take authorization for the introduction of such indices. However, administrators providing benchmarks notified by the Reserve Bank of India will be excluded from this mandatory requirement. Index providers must have a minimum net worth of 25 crore rupees and must have a minimum of 5 years of experience in index administration. An index provider must constitute an oversight committee for reviewing the existing index design. The committee must also review the index methodology to ensure it reflects the nomenclature and description of the index. The index is the most essential element in stock market trading, as it helps investors gauge the overall market sentiment. Moreover, several indices are linked to financial products, such as exchange-traded derivatives, index funds, exchange-traded funds, ETFs, and market-linked debentures. Indices are also used as a benchmark for actively managed mutual funds. Indices are also used as a benchmark for actively managed mutual funds. Question 5. With reference to tactical nuclear weapons, consider the following statements. 1. It typically refers to long-range weapons, including land-based missiles with a range of more than 1,000 kilometers and air and sea-launched weapons with a range of more than 800 kilometers. Today are the least regulated category of nuclear weapons covered in arms control agreements. 3 tactical nuclear weapons include gravity bombs, short-range missiles, artillery shells, landmines, depth charges, and torpedoes which are equipped with nuclear warheads. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 3 only. C. 1, 2, and 3. D. 2 and 3 only. The answer is D. It typically refers to short-range weapons, including land-based missiles with a range of fewer than 500 kilometers, about 300 miles, and air and sea-launched weapons with a range of less than 600 kilometers, about 400 miles. Question 6. Consider the following statements about ichthyosaurs. 1. They were a group of animals that strongly resembled modern dolphins if dolphins were giant aquatic lizards instead of mammals. 2. They evolved from land-dwelling creatures that returned to the sea in the early Triassic. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The answer is C. They evolved from land-dwelling creatures that returned to the sea in the early Triassic thriving until the late Cretaceous, when a changing climate and slowness to adapt brought their time to an end around 95 million years ago. Question 7. Consider the following statements about adjuvants. 1. An adjuvant is a substance that is added to a vaccine to stimulate and enhance the magnitude and durability of the immune response. 2. Adjuvants help the body to produce an immune response strong enough to protect the person from the disease he or she is being vaccinated against. 3. Adjuvant vaccines can cause fewer local reactions, such as redness, swelling, and pain at the injection site, and lesser systemic reactions, such as fever, chills, and body aches, than non-adjuvant vaccines. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 and 2 only. B. 3 only. C. 1, 2, and 3. D. 2 and 3 only. The answer is A. Adjuvant vaccines can cause more local reactions, such as redness, swelling, and pain at the injection site, and more systemic reactions, such as fever, chills, and body aches, than non-adjuvant vaccines. Question 8. Amid the government push for increasing milk production, the National Dairy Research Institute, NDRI, Karnal had recently produced the country's first cloned female calf. Consider the following statements about this. 1. It is produced from a desi breed gyr which can produce more than 15 liters of milk per day. 2. India's first cloned gyr female calf named Saraswati. Which of the following given above are correct? A. 1 only. B. 2 only. C. Both 1 and 2. D. Neither 1 nor 2. The answer is A. India's first cloned gyr female calf named Ganga. Indigenous cattle breeds such as Gyr, Sahiwal, Tharparkar, and Red Sindhi play a pivotal role in milk production and the growth of the Indian dairy industry. Gyr cattle are also very popular and have been exported to Brazil, the United States, Mexico, and Venezuela for the development of zebu cows. To clone the gyr, oocytes are isolated from live animals using ultrasound-guided needles and then matured for 24 hours under control conditions. The somatic cells of elite cows are used as donor genomes, which are fused with opioid-derived enucleated oocytes. Following chemical activation and in vitro culture, the developed blastocysts are transferred into recipient mothers to deliver the gyr calf. Thank you, everyone. Do subscribe to this channel. Use code SPLIVE to join Unacademy.